Soulframe is incredible, but that doesn't mean it's perfect. We've got to be getting close to a Preludes 11 release, so I want to share just a few of my thoughts on the state of the game so far. Here are 3 reasons I'm so hyped up about Soulframe, and 3 things I hope we'll see change as the game moves into the future. First on my list of things I love about Soulframe is the world itself. The game starts us off on Midrath, an island on the planet Alka, and it is incredibly beautiful. From wooded creeks to underground cities to hidden enclaves, every part of this game is gorgeously rendered with an aesthetic that makes even very different parts of the game feel like they fit in a cohesive whole. I hope we eventually get more islands to explore because I would love to see what kinds of landscapes this team could create in different biomes. Midrath itself is a pretty good-sized map. I do think we'll need more before the game is ready for release, but for now the island is big enough that getting from one side to the other is quite a journey. And that brings me to the first thing I'd like to see change in the future. Travel. We know that mounts are coming to Soulframe, so it's only a matter of time before crossing Midrath gets much easier. However, even then, there's one travel-related issue that I hope gets some attention as well. At the moment, the only way to check your faction standing is to either complete a faction tale or go all the way back to your faction enclave to talk to your faction NPC. This can be a bit of a pain if you're on the opposite side of the map and just want to know if you're already maxed out or if you need to do another tale before you head back to your enclave. A faction section in our codex could be a pretty simple solution to this. I imagine we'd still need to go back to our enclave to rank up, but at least we'd have a better way of knowing when that's necessary, and getting there will be a lot easier once we have mounts. Next up on my list of what I love about Soulframe is the lore. You've already heard me gush about the game's environmentalism theme in other videos, but Devstream 7 gave me yet another reason to fall in love with Soulframe's story. When discussing the upcoming moat rework, Sydney described the concept behind moats as displaced pieces of human souls, explaining the spellsong didn't just wipe the memory of people it affected, but also took away parts of their souls deemed unproductive by the Ode. Our envoys must protect those pieces because despite their not being considered good, they are still inherently human. This tiny bit of added lore gives incredible potential for depth in Soulframe's story. The human experience isn't always a good one, and we don't grow as people by running away from our shadows. In a world that is increasingly polarized, I am delighted to see a story that embraces nuance with open arms and urges us to look at the power of traits typically deemed undesirable. I can't wait to see how Soulframe develops this complex relationship with what it means to be human. The next thing I want to see changed in Soulframe's future is pact balance. In Preludes 10, there is unquestionably one pact that is way stronger than all the others, Ode Tempest. The thing is, I don't actually think Ode Tempest needs a huge nerf. Rather, I think the other pacts need more of what makes Ode Tempest so good: ability synergy and virtue scaling. No other pact has abilities that synergize in the way Atmosphere and Astrosphere do. I don't think every pact needs this level of ability synergy, but some of them definitely do. For example, Siren would be a lot more interesting if targets affected by Pictrix Powder took more damage from decoy explosions, but Tethrin is plenty strong without any additional synergies. As far as virtues go, all pact abilities have at least some virtue scaling, but sometimes that scaling is almost unnoticeably small, or things that should scale actually don't. Mora's Hand is perhaps the least powerful pact at the moment, largely due to its limited scaling. I'd love to see more consistency in how virtues affect pact abilities. My very favorite thing about Soulframe is the Archery. Yes, Hail of Arrows is overpowered, and I do hope it gets a hearty damage nerf, but that is actually the least fun part of Soulframe's bow combat, in my opinion. We do need some kind of hail mechanic to help bows deal with groups of enemies, so I think it needs tuning, not a full overhaul. This is an alpha after all, so we're not expecting things to be perfect. Looking at you, Arrow Ballistics. But even with these minor issues, Soulframe Archery is fantastic. The feel of drawing your bow, leading your shots, timing your arrows, it's just so good. Seriously, the people who spam Hail of Arrows are missing out on extremely fun gameplay. If you like bows and you want a game that will make you feel like you're really out there in the woods shooting arrows, Soulframe is for you. Unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about Soulframe's melee combat. It's still good, but it forces you to contend with the worst part of Soulframe, the target lock system. I'm honestly a little surprised that this hasn't been addressed already, since it's such a huge part of how every player engages with the game. There are tons of proposed solutions out there, but the one most commonly asked for is some kind of manual target cycling in addition to the current softlock system, to give players a bit more control over what they're fighting. This alone would make the game so much more accessible and enjoyable that I have to wonder why it hasn't been added yet. If you have any theories, let me know in the comments, especially if you've worked on games and have some insight on what might be causing the current softlock issues or what the challenges might be for correcting it. This isn't to say that Soulframe melee combat in general is bad. I find myself enjoying it a lot more now than when I first started, so I want to end with a bit of insight into how I learned to vibe with all the game's different weapons. Soulframe combat is like music. Specifically, it's like playing live music with a band. The song you're playing has a tempo, a rhythm you have to keep in time with, and if you try to rush through your part, it's just gonna sound like a mess. If you play too slow, you'll miss your notes, and that won't work either. The key to Soulframe's combat is to play along in time with the game's rhythm, and when you do, the music you create is delightful. I hope you enjoyed this Soulframe retrospective as we all eagerly await the next major update. DevStream 8 is just days away, and TennoCon always comes with big news and exciting reveals. As requested, I will have a DevStream review ready sometime this weekend, so subscribe if you want to see that as soon as it's available. In the meanwhile, make sure your Twitch is linked to your Soulframe account just in case they do another drop during the DevStream. And until next time, happy hunting!